What's up, Internet? It's Adam with All Pro Media, and today we're going to discuss the Sony FS7 Mark I versus the BMPCC 4K. So it's camera wars, but first, roll that intro. So we're going to look at a few features for both cameras and compare them. We're going to do a dynamic range test, a slow motion test, a color and color grading test, and highlights. Each camera is going to be set at their native ISO, 400 for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and 800 for the Sony FS7 Mark I. Now, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K is actually at an advantage for this because the way the technology works with Blackmagic is that any ISO on that camera is basically the best ISO, pretty much no matter what you choose. Now, they give you ISO 400 and 3200 for native, but they also explain that it really doesn't necessarily matter. But for this test, we're going to keep, or these tests, we're going to keep it at 400 and the Sony at 800 so we can give them their best position to give the best image quality possible. We shot B-roll in our little town of Burlington. We also shot a few sequences to give it more of an interesting feel.
Okay, so this is the Blackmagic, and this is the FS7. Now, do you want to see it graded?
Yeah, let's see it graded. I mean, initially, Sony obviously has a flatter image.
I'm getting something here.
What's up?
Look at how much pinker this is compared to this. But here's the thing. The grade that I have on this, Sony colors are normally greener. So I've added some magenta to this to get it to this level.
Right.
But that must mean there's a lot more green in here because this has the same amount of pink added to it. But it's not pink.
So what is your
like
evaluation of these two shots as a colorist and an editor?
I think that there's a lot more green in the Blackmagic.
What does that
footage.
mean, though, I guess? What does that mean for color science and technology for this video?
I mean, I guess it means that you'll have to mess with the colors to make sure they're accurate. But, I mean, I've never had any complaints about Blackmagic color science.
It seems like the Blackmagic has a lot more contrast.
Well, that's the other thing. The Sony footage has always been so flat that even it's some of the flattest log I've ever worked with. So I actually had to create a preset that was way more contrast and punchy than I would normally do to a color grade on the log. Because even an ARRI Alexa isn't this flat. Like, has all that dynamic range, but it's not this flat.
Right.
So this is a little bit more normal of a log. So I actually might even take the curves out because I usually added the curves to make up for that.
I mean, it's like an editing thing. You know, you got to watch your Blackmagic a little bit closer, like you said, because you could oversaturate something pretty easy. We shot these. Now, granted, this is a shadow side shot at 5400 Kelvin, so we probably should have dialed it down to more like 45 maybe to get accurate colors, but it shouldn't be that big of a difference, so maybe that contributes to how green everything is. That's possible. Okay. First, we're going to look at a side-by-side. We're going to do split screen, so we're going to do a side-by-side comparison between the FS7 and the BMPCC 4K, and this is a sequence that we shot just to make it a bit more interesting other than just B-roll shots. So let's take a look and see which looks the best to our eyes. Sean is our editor and colorist, and he matched them as close as he could. FS7 is a lot flatter image, so he had to do some tweaking, some finagling to get it to match. Okay.
Those look so close.
They look so close, but again, you know, Sony still wins. It's a bit closer now. That's a really close one. You know what I'm saying? We didn't say a lot of cool things there, but...
No, we didn't. All right, so just...
You could use what you said earlier, you know what I'm saying?
But let's talk about, like, what you're seeing now. Like, do you think like the overall. Let's just talk about overall image quality. How are you feeling about this new camera? You know, next to this $10,000 camera rig.
I mean, more like, yeah. I mean, with the lens, yeah. I mean, we're talking about, like you said, $10,000 to $11,000 worth of equipment compared to, with the lens, $3,000 worth of equipment. So.
I mean, I'm saying I think it's like
they look fantastic.
Yeah.
They both look great. I'm not going to really take away from either of them. Sony's colors look better. Like you said, there's more detail in the shadows. I think the highlight thing on the door is just a matter of the angle that we shot at. If
that's what I'm thinking.
If the Blackmagic was in the same exact spot, we'd probably see more highlights from that window. So I mean, you know, I think the Sony wins. You know, I mean, it has better dynamic range, and because of that, it's able to what's the word I'm looking for? It's able to process the color better, I guess, in those situations. Because look at the greens on the sign, like how different those are.
Slightly. But see, well, what makes you like... Sorry.
The big difference for me?
So what makes you like the Sony color science more right now?
For me, you know, I'm a colorblind guy, so for me, I see the color better on the Sony. So that just tells me that the color science is better. Now, maybe that's wrong, but this is the way I see it. Now, I'm not saying I see anything wrong with the Blackmagic color. It just looks like Sony's colors are a bit deeper and more vibrant to me, especially the blue on the shirt. But just overall image look, I'm still in love with the Blackmagic because it looks more cinematic. That's all I can say. It looks like I'm watching a movie on the right and I'm watching a video on the left.
All right, now so we're going to see a side-by-side comparison of this scene. This one's not split screen. First, you're going to look at one camera, and then you're going to look at the second one. And just kind of, you know, talk a little bit about how the image makes you feel.
All right, first, well, actually, we're going to let him play before I tell you. This image looks great. Good detail. Color looks good. We'll see how the highlights go crazy here in a second. Not too bad, really. And we're talking about adding a lot of stops of light. Still holds up.
Second camera.
Bit more vibrant. I'm seeing orange and green. Of course, I'm colorblind, so don't listen to me. Looks good.
That does look good.
That's good. Well, you can't see outside in this one like you did the other one. All right, so the first one was the Blackmagic. The second one was a Sony. Sony definitely handles, I mean, it just has better dynamic range, period. I still think that the Blackmagic looks better as far as cinematic quality. But, you know, in this day and age, I think most people will go for the Sony. And it did look, when you opened that door, it looked really good on the Sony. I mean, it handled it really well.
You think so?
I think so.
Let me see. I mean, I don't see anything. Do you mean like over here, or do you mean like here?
When you open the door and you're looking at the toolbox.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Because you're seeing black go to like a gray, and you're seeing silver get pushed as far as it can before it blows out.
Like you still see this detail in this shadow. Right. And then on the Blackmagic, it's still there, but it's a lot. Just it's a heavier drop.
Right. I mean, these tests are proving that there's not a huge separation between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to use either one.
Yeah, biggest being dynamic range, but it's honestly not a deal breaker. All right, so let's look at some slow-mo. We got Sean doing a little front handstand flip. All right, Sony's obviously a lot more vibrant. Sony did not show as much motion blur as the Blackmagic. You saw that?
Sony didn't show as much?
Watch the Sony. Well, watch it again. There's Sony. Looks pretty clean. And then watch Blackmagic. Watch your legs. Mostly your legs. See, a little bit of blur right there. Need a little bit of blur there. Whereas the Sony held it pretty tight throughout the entire flip. The next thing is highlights. And this is shot at, well, it's towards noon. And, basically the time of day where everybody, if you're a DP or a cinematographer, you hate shooting in this unless you're in the shade. We put Sean basically in direct light. The sun is basically above his left shoulder, and it's hitting his face directly. So this is going to show you like how well these cameras can handle highlights, especially on the face. And both do a pretty good job. Obviously Sony has more dynamic range, so between the shadows and the highlights they look better, but both look really good.
I think I finally look like an adult.
Sean looks more like an adult. But yeah, man, it's mostly in this. I think they both look great. Sony just handles both ends of that spectrum better. But neither one are unusable. They're both good. And there you have it, the Sony FS7 Mark I versus the BMPCC 4K. Those were our thoughts and opinions through our test. We're really looking forward to hear what you say with your experiences. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Comment whether it's good or bad. We love to hear it. And be sure to ring that bell for the notifications. And if there's anything else, we'll see you next week. But I need my camera, so sorry, I'm going to have to take it from you guys.